Mr. Soltani, as a former chief technologist at the Federal Trade Commission, do you believe that Facebook violated its 2011 consent decree with the Federal Trade Commission during this Cambridge Analytica debacle by sharing users' friends' information, overriding users' privacy preferences?
Thanks, Senator Markey. So I, of course, have to preface this by saying all the opinions here are my own and my personal capacity, not of the FTC or any previous employer. What I can say is the facts around the kind of Cambridge Analytica sharing was quite similar to the facts in 2011 that were at hand, right? So the FTC complaint alleged that Facebook first forced certain private information, such as friend lists, to be made public when they were previously private, told users they could restrict data sharing to limited audience, for example, friends only, when in fact selecting friends only did not prevent information from being shared with third-party applications that their friends used, and that Facebook had a verified apps program that claimed it certified the security of participating apps, which it didn't, right? So those were the kind of the counts in the complaints. And the settlement in the consent decree said it basically barred Facebook from making misrepresentations about the privacy and security of consumers' personal information and required Facebook to obtain consumers' affirmative express consent before enacting changes to override their privacy policy preferences. I think the facts of both with Cambridge Analytica and the device partnerships showed that there were still instances where your privacy controls or information about you, for example, me being a friend of yours on Facebook, would be shared with apps, even though the representations were otherwise. So yes.
That would be a violation of the consent decree if that information was being shared. So outside of the Cambridge Analytica episode, did Facebook violate the 2011 consent decree when it gave data access to 60 partner device makers, including Microsoft, Google, and BlackBerry, even when many users believed that they barred this sharing, as reported in the New York Times earlier this month?
Again, in my personal opinion, I believe they did, particularly, as I described in my testimony, that privacy settings, such as platform preferences, could be overridden by certain device partners.
So in light of those revelations, should the Federal Trade Commission impose penalties on Facebook for violating the consent decree which Facebook reached with the Federal Trade Commission?
Again, I believe the FTC has publicly said that they're investigating Facebook. And, if I had to wager a guess, I would say, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't specify to the exactly how they will interpret the case, but I feel like there's a strong likelihood that of imposing fines.
I'm not asking you how you think they're going to come down on it. I'm asking how you would come down on it.
I think they should.
They should. Okay.
One of the challenges, though, is that if you look, so Facebook is a $40 billion company in terms of annual revenue. The FTC's privacy settlements, their largest were either $22.5 million for Google Safari or $100 million for LifeLock, which include advertising. I think even penalties on that order or more will do very little to actually prevent.
No, I agree with you. In order for this to be meaningful, the number has to be substantial. Otherwise, it's just paying a parking ticket, exactly. And then they move on without even noticing it in their bottom line. So, Mr. Soltani, do you have concerns about the fact that Facebook shared user data with devices made by Huawei, a Chinese company flagged by the intelligence community as a threat to national security? Do you believe that Facebook can say definitively that Facebook user data was never stored on Huawei servers?
I think that's an important point, Senator. The issue at hand is that by providing certain partners privileged access to user data, those partners effectively got to override user privacy settings. It's like having administrative access in some ways to Facebook data. And my understanding is that once that data is off and transferred to those partners' handsets, it can be used in whatever way those partners see fit. And again, to cite a recent FTC case, the FTC brought an investigation, a settlement with a company called Blue, which was an Amazon seller, BLU, that was reselling handsets by Chinese manufacturers. Those those handsets were found to be sending the complete contents of text messages and contents of the phone to the company's server in China, right? So were Blue to be one of those partners, or were Huawei to implement some of the same features, I don't think Facebook would have known or have had a way to monitor for that.
Right. And so you have the compromise of privacy of Americans and their information then becoming a national security issue as well, because this company is on a American national security watch list. So it just gets much more serious and, of course, concerning, which is why I'm so glad that we are having this hearing, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.